Thank you, Joan, for that lovely introduction. It gave me just enough time to compose myself following Shawnee's fabulous talk. So thank you, Shawnee, that was beautiful. We put together this great presentation today, and with this new technology, so I feel like I need to apologize for creating all of the tech problems. Right? Is it working? Okay, there it is. So I wanted to start off my talk today by telling you a story. The story of Maria. This is such a great picture of her, right? Rollers in her hair, pregnant, cooking. We probably all have pictures of ourselves like that as mothers. Maria is the mother of 4 children. She raised her children with lots of love and lots of peanut butter cookies. She was a stay-at-home mom, and as a stay-at-home mom, she started a small business that she ran out of her home. She was a seamstress. And also through that business, she handcrafted baby bonnets. She became known in her neighborhood for the baby bonnets that she made and sold in the local stores. And she was also known for hand-making stuffed animals to give to her local doctor's office to pass out to sick children. She was a great mom, and after raising her 4 children, Maria moved on to a new chapter in her life. So after her children are grown, Maria moves on and meets a new man and becomes engaged, and she's really excited for this new chapter that she's embarking on. And after she moves in with her fiance, she comes to find out that her relationship is quite different than what she thought it was going to be. Her fiance is very abusive, and she begins to experience violence on a daily basis. And Maria is very humiliated and embarrassed about her situation. And so she keeps it to herself and she doesn't share with her family or her children. Eventually her children start to question things as their mom was showing up with bruised face or with a black eye when she called from the hospital because she was getting staples in her head. But Maria always had an excuse. She always explained away her injuries and talked about how clumsy she was, and it was just one of those things that the children shouldn't worry. And her kids listened to her. After 4 years of being in this abusive relationship, in June of 2008, Maria died. Her broken and battered body just could not take any more violence. Maria is my mother, and this is the first time I'm talking about this story publicly. It's hard for me to talk about it, but I think that this is the appropriate place to share. She was my mother, and so being here all weekend listening to everything that we're talking about has really hit home for me and reminded me how much I miss her. So Maria was my mom, and what you didn't hear about my background is that for 10 years, I worked with survivors of domestic violence. And although I worked with survivors of domestic violence for 10 years, I never knew that my mother was being abused. I believed that domestic violence was something that happened to other people. It wasn't something that was going to touch my own life. It was something that happened everywhere else, but not in my home, not with my family. I knew better. I knew the signs, I knew the symptoms, and I knew what to look for in abusers. But I didn't know. And so standing at my mother's funeral, I kept wondering, what could I have done differently? And the reason I share this story with you today is because I think that so many of us recognize what a very serious issue gender-based violence is. But we think of it as being something that happens everywhere else but in our own homes. But I'm here to tell you that this is a very, very serious issue. And if we look at the statistics, we see that this is a massive global crisis. Statistics show that 1 in 3 women experience domestic violence. 1 in 3. So think about what that number means in the context of your own lives. How many sisters do you have? Or how many daughters do you have? How many girlfriends? How many female colleagues do you have? And think about 1 in 3 in that context. So I think that yesterday, I think it was Barbara, talked about the fact that violence against women, 1 woman every 9 seconds experiences violence, and 1 in 3 women experience this. So 2 different ways of really understanding this number. and it's very, very frightening. So a crucial issue that we really need to be giving our attention to and recognizing how serious it is, and what we can be doing in our own personal lives to combat it. In looking at this issue, if we look to the next piece of this, violence against pregnant women is very serious, right? Because if we're seeing how gender-based violence can happen all around the world to every woman as being at risk, when we're talking about pregnant women, the leading cause of death amongst pregnant women is murder. Is that shocking? Absolutely shocking. So as I was doing my research for this, I came to find this out, and I was stunned. The number one cause of death amongst pregnant women is murder. And what do we do about this? So looking into the services that are available, first of all, there are very few services available to women who experience violence in the first place. When we're talking about violence against pregnant women, there are even fewer services available. American Mothers, being the fabulous organization that it is, right, recognizes what a crucial problem this is, and has been actively engaged in looking at different ways that this organization can combat the problem. So, with American Mothers, I've been very honored to be working closely with them in developing an initiative that is, actively engaging the topic and looking at ways to create change.